Shalom, Israel. So first and foremost, giving all praises to the Black Almighty, the creator of all things that are righteous. Got something that's been on my spirit for a minute. Now, many of you, of course, y'all know what the Emancipation Proclamation is. This BS legislation that was supposedly to set the slaves free. But come on, Israel, we know better than that. Now, let me just read a little portion of this, the Emancipation Proclamation. President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, as the nation approached its third year of bloody civil war. The proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforward shall be free. Now, we know that that was a straight up lie. Because think about it. When you free a people, you have to give them three things. They have to have education, they have to have land, and most importantly, they have to have money. They were not given neither of the three. Let's read some more. It goes on to say, despite this expansive wording, the Emancipation Proclamation was limited in many ways. It applied only to states that had seceded from the United States, leaving slavery untouched in the lower border states. It also expressly exempted parts of the Confederacy, the southern secessionist states that had already come under Northern control. Most important, the freedom it promised depended upon United States military victory. Now, it's interesting because when you read this article, and when you read all these articles that talk about this Emancipation Proclamation, they had slaves in the North as well, too. See, the North was jealous of the South because the South was making so much money. They was making so much of a profit. And you got to remember, these people, their God is money. Money, 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 money. That's their God. So you got to understand the big picture here and why Lincoln, they issued the Emancipation Proclamation. They wanted to stop the South from rising up because they were too financially successful, and they were pulling in all the money. So the North was like, no, we need some of that. And even after that, they still kept a lot of slaves. And who do you think built the White House? It wasn't their people. Our forefathers built this damn country in blood, sweat, and tears. Now, there are two very important documentaries that I would highly encourage you to watch if you have not seen them already. But I'm assuming that most of you have seen them already. But the one is called Slavery by Another Name, and the other one is called 13th. Now, the 13th is currently streaming on Netflix. I don't know about Slavery by Another Name, but they kind of talk in the same language and both same lines of what happened to our people when they came out of slavery. Now, they started making up laws, what they called vagrant laws. It's like, for example, those laws were if black men were talking too loud, they would get jail time for that. Or if a black man was caught spitting on the ground or doing something or throwing some trash on the ground or something, they'll get jail time for that. If they were walking and they crossed path with a white person and they looked that white person in the eye, that was considered reckless eyeballing. Ain't that crazy? Reckless eyeballing. What the hell is that? So they were coming up with all these foolish kinds of things just to get our people and to keep our people into slavery. And I remember an elder, where I spent my time growing up in the summer in Mississippi in the Delta, and this elder, he was like probably in his 80s, and he was telling me about the old laws of the reckless eyeballing. It's like, and at the time I couldn't even believe it, but that stuff existed. And they were going to prison for this stuff. Or if a white woman was coming, a white family was coming, you had to get out the way. You had to jump in the mud or whatever to avoid them. If you didn't, jail time. So they were coming up with all these different vagrant laws to make it easy to put our people back in slavery. That's what this thing was all about. I mean, they were taking out our men left and right. And that's why I said this war is truly against the men. And they were getting anywhere from 20 to 50 years for this stuff. Can y'all believe that? 20 to 50 years. Now y'all make that make sense. And you cannot sit there with an honest face and tell me that these prisons were not built for our people, specifically for our brothers, to take the man out the home. These heathens have hell to pay. When I say hell to pay, we can't even imagine what that type of hell is going to be. Now, I know it may seem like these people are just constantly doing their thing, and it seems like they're getting away with murder. But let me tell y'all something. Nothing can be further from the truth. Because when the Most High gets down, it's going to be on. And the whole world is going to know it. The whole world, even their ancestors have committed these atrocities against our people, are shaking in their graves. Because they know what time it is. They know what's getting ready to come. It's amazing because it's been recorded that our people owned, shortly after slavery, like in the early 1900s, that we owned over 4 million acres of land. But a lot of that was taken unjustly. Now, it wasn't given to us because a lot of our people had to really work for it. Because since we didn't get the 40 acres in the mule, there was other ways that we ended up getting some land. But again, when they came out with all these vagrants and stuff, they unjustly took our ancestors' land from them. And this is why I named the title the way I did, because the Most High is going to take everything back. We're going to take this whole world back. We ain't going to just have one little location in Jerusalem. We're taking the whole world. The whole world. The heathens' wealth, all the gold that they've ever stole and took and everything, and that's going to be ours. That's going to be ours. So y'all better get ready for it, because that's why the Most High is trying to prepare his people. The Most High will avenge his people. And these people are going to have to get that work. They're not getting off scot-free. They're not getting away with murder. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. They got to go into captivity. They got to get that work. And don't get it twisted, Israel, because our people are not out the hot box just yet. Still a lot of purging that's going to have to be done. Even the word says that judgment will begin at the house of El. So get ready for it. It's just a shame that so many of our people are doing the slave master's bidding. Psalms 83, 2-5 has surely hit its mark. And it needs no introduction, because that is exactly talking about our people. Our people in depth. I mean, you can't get no plainer than this. Now, these people you see before you, this is the so-called Black Caucus. Now, y'all know who the Black Caucus is, okay? These are the same people that were talking about affirmative rights and all that kind of stuff. And the only thing that they've ever done was hold seats for their children. And guess what? They're gladly going to the pit along with their slave masters for doing their bidding, because they have not done nothing for so-called black folks but keep them in slavery with Christianity and religion and all kinds of BS. And this is what I'm talking about. Our own people set in office to do the slave masters' bidding. And they are doing a great job of doing that, keeping our people even down the barrel. Because who do they submit to? Who do they report to? Who's giving them their check? Go figure. Go figure, y'all. It all comes back around. A dog comes back to his own vomit at some point. Now, y'all ought to know by now, this is not the first time that Israel has sold us out. This has happened before, time after time. But hey, if you don't believe it, let me prove it to you. Because we have a terrible habit of making pacts with our enemies. All right, go ahead and turn to 1 Maccabees. That's 1 Maccabees chapter 1, and we're going to start with verse 10. And it goes on to say, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus, the king who had been in hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Verse 11. Now get this, because this stuff is crazy. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant. A covenant is just an agreement. It says, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Let me repeat that. Reread this other part right here. It says, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Sounds familiar? The Black Caucus, the NAACP, or in other words, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Black Lives Matter. All these so-called black organizations that's supposed to be helping black people are straight from the pits of hell. That's where they came from. And it's no different from what our forefathers were doing back in the days. That's why our brother Judah Maccabees had to rise up and run them Greek boys out the temple. But let me finish reading. It says, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Man, that's another problem with our people. Our people cannot even imagine a world without white people. They can't imagine it. It would scare them half to death to even think about living in a all-black world without white people. And that's how conditioned our people have become. All right, verse 12, it says, so this device pleased them well. Pleased them well. They were happy with it. They were happy to live among their slave masters. Verse 13, then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathens. Man, that right there should break everybody's heart who is listening to this lesson right now. That literally should just break your heart, because that is the saddest thing I've ever seen. When you're talking about an El who's created the whole universe and miracles and wonders, and he gave us his laws, but to turn around and spit in his face by going after the heathens. That's the most despicable thing that our people could have ever done. Verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathens. I mean, that's so familiar what we're doing right now. These pagan holidays. You know, our people will break their backs. They'll try to outdo the heathens in celebrating these holidays. I mean, this stuff is crazy. Verse 15, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Verse 15, they made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant. This is talking about the holy covenant with the Almighty, y'all. This ain't just some covenant. This ain't just some fly-by-night covenant. This is an everlasting covenant that the Most High put between us and him. And our people wanted to leave that, desert that. No wonder slavery was so harsh. No wonder our people are just in such a low state as a whole. All right, we got to look at the reality of this thing. And if we're going to be fair, the Most High had every right to do what he did to our people and continue to do, because we continue to be stiff-necked. We don't want to listen. We don't want to keep no laws. But yet, we glorify the heathens. We glorify their money. Take out, you know what? If you got a $5 bill right now, a $10 bill, $20 bill, I want you to take it out your pocket. Take it out your pocket. I'll give you a little time. Now, I want you to look at that dollar bill, whatever, the 10, 5, 20, 100 that you have on you, I want you to look at it and tell me what face do you see on that money? Whose face do you see on that money? You don't see our faces on that money. My point exactly. And this is the kind of madness that has to stop. Something's going to have to give. And y'all ever get that urge sometimes you feel like, and I'm talking to ones who are really trying to keep the laws with all their hearts, mind, and soul, because, if you're not going to feel it. You're not going to feel what I feel. But you ever get that urge like something big is getting ready to happen? Like I'm talking about huge. And I'm not talking about nothing having to do with the second coming or anything like that. But I'm talking about just like some kind of worldwide event is getting ready to happen. Something so big and something so profound. And it's going to shake our people. It's going to literally shake them to the core. And so when you look around, all these things are happening for a reason. And it's going to have to happen. Yeah, Israel, you're going to have to really buckle up because it's going to be one hell of a ride. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. But hey, it is what it is. It's like I always say, it is what it is. We turn from the covenant and we have to suffer for it. But doesn't mean that the Most High's people are at an end, because he promised that a remnant will be saved. His seed will not be destroyed. Yeah, we're going to be reduced in numbers, but his seed will not be destroyed. That's an everlasting promise. All right, so let's get to the obvious. Now, we know that our enemies are going to be destroyed, and our people who cling to them heavily are going to be destroyed along with them. But let me remind you the power of the Most High and what he is going to do for his people. Because there's going to have to come a time. There's no way that we can remain around these people and expect changes. There's going to have to be some kind of separation. Something's going to have to happen in order to pull us from the mindset of these people, because our people are so heavily influenced by the enemies. It's inwoven in the very fabric of many of our people. It could be because they cannot let go. That's how deep it is. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 7, and let's start with verse 21. And it goes on to say, "You shall not be frightened at them, for YAHUAH is among you a mighty El and terrible. And YAHUAH will put out those nations before you, little and little." I hear them read that again. "And YAHUAH will put out those nations before you by little and little. Ye may not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon you." Now, I used to think that beast was talking about like animals increasing, all that kind of stuff, but it's actually referring to our enemies, because our enemies are referred several times throughout the scriptures as beast. And the Bible did say that in Deuteronomy 4, 27, 28, that we would be few among the heathens. So no matter where we are, it seems like we're always outnumbered by the heathens. That's why, because everywhere we are scattered to across the United States, South America, all the different 7 continents, we're going to be the few in number, and we're going to be the worst mistreated. So what's going to happen? So the Most High he is putting these heathens out. And I'm going to talk about some of the ways that this is happening. It's going to blow your mind, because I want to share some information with you about the sun and the UV rays that are being pushed out heavily. But scientists and these people who are professionals in the weather and everything, they're hiding this stuff because they don't want you to know that these UV rays are getting very dangerous. But here's the question. Dangerous for who? That's the question that's at hand. And we're going to discuss more of that in detail in this next segment. Now, have any of y'all heard of a term called photodermatitis? That's right, photodermatitis. Now, I didn't know anything about this until like 3 years ago. And I did some in-depth research on this and everything, and I was pretty amazed what I found out. So let me just share this with you right quick. Photodermatitis, sometimes referred to as sun poisoning or photoallergy, is a form of allergic contact dermatitis in which the allergen must be activated by light to sensitize the allergic. You know, it's pretty interesting. And then when you look at some of the signs and symptoms, it says that photodermatitis may result in swelling, difficult breathing, a burning sensation, a red, itchy rash, sometimes resembling small blisters. You know, when I was growing up, and I remember when we used to go out for recess a lot, and then the white kids would be out there playing with us, and we'd come back inside, and the next day, they would have these blisters. I'm talking about these big blisters on their shoulders, on their arms, and it was all pusky and all kinds of stuff and everything. And only the white children would get that stuff. None of the black children would have that. And we'd be just, you know, outside as long as they were and everything. So, you know, this term has been around for a while, photodermatitis. And let me show you the people that it affects. Now, check this crazy stuff out. Now, these pictures you see are a result of photodermatitis. And don't let these heathens tell you. See, one thing that pisses me off about these heathens is that they'll try to come up with their little stats. They'll try to say, they love to say that black people are the first to die of everything, or the first to suffer to everything. I've even heard a heathen, a news reporter, even say that black people have the highest in skin cancer rate. Now, y'all, come on, we know that's a lie, because we are the natural people of the earth from the Most High Himself. And we have the ability to absorb all these UV rays and block out the stuff, the dangerous parts of the sun, because we can take it. We were made for that. These people were never made for the sun. And this is how you can tell what's natural and what's not. Now, I looked at all the cases on photodermatitis, and I did not see one Israel. I did not see one Israelite, one Jake, I should say, or one black person, so-called black person, that had photodermatitis. Now, I guarantee you that the heathens will find a way to put us in that category, and they'll try to put us in number one in that category, because they love to lie on Israel all the time. You know, that's their BS excuse. They always love to lie. So they'll say we the first. They'll always say, if you notice, that we're the first to die of everything. Bunch of BS. Look, I grew up around tens of thousands of so-called black folks, and not one time, not once, have I ever seen a black person come down with skin cancer. Not even a skin rash. Now, there's been a few brothers who said that they had maybe got a couple of rashes from sitting in the sun too long, but that was only because they were in the pool, they were exposed to like the bleach chemical and all that kind of stuff, and then sitting out in the sun. You don't want to do that because you have that chemical stuff on you. So they telling us to wear this sunscreen. No, we don't need that. So-called black folks, we don't need that sunscreen. That's for white folks. And it's even tearing them up, because even when them using that, it's making it even worse. But they cannot take the sun. They were not made for the sun. And again, this is why you know that these people are not a natural organism. They are not a natural people. They were not created by the hands of the Most High. These people are a hybrid mixed with, you know, who knows who in hell, what they're made up of, and what genetic makeup they came from. But it didn't come from the hands of the Most High. I guarantee you that. Because Ham, Shem, and Japheth, they were all brothers. They were melanated people on the face of this earth. Back in the day, everybody was like family. Everybody knew how to read the luminaries. That's why when them boys tried to build the Tower of Babel and everything, they were all one race, they were one people, one language. So you can't tell me that these non-melanated people were on the face of this earth. Even scientists will prove that. Let me give you an example of the natural and the unnatural. So let's take leaves, for instance. Now, leaves, once they, in the fall, once they fall on the ground, leaves will decompose back into the earth over a short period of time. They will literally decompose and go back into the earth. Why? Because it's a natural creation of the Most High. It was created from the Most High's laboratory. So the earth is going to receive it right back. But let's say you take some plastic bottles and put them in the earth. They will not decompose. Why? Because these plastic bottles did not come from the Most High's laboratory. But when you take leaves and anything that's natural, the earth receives it. But anything unnatural that will not decompose and that did not come out of the Most High's laboratory was created by man. And that's how you can tell the natural from the unnatural. And we're going to see a lot of that. And the Most High is going to expose a lot of things that are unnatural. Now, let's take the animals for instance as well. Now, there's a lot of animals that are hybrids that were not created by the hand of the Most High. Now, we look at the wolf. There was only one type of dog in the scriptures. That was the wolf. Everything else, all these other breeds are hybrids from other breeds of dogs. But they all are bred from the alpha wolf, the dog that was actually created. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. And you're looking at all these different types of species that's not even supposed to be on the face of the earth, because they were bred and created by man. Now, they were doing the same thing prior to the flood, and I'm going to prove that to you. They were mixing, splicing genes and creating these hybrid animals and stuff. But let me show you. All right, go ahead and turn to the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher, chapter 4, and we're going to look at verses 18. That's Jasher chapter 4 and verse 18. Listen closely to what it says. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their women by force from their men according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke Yahweh. Now let me just reread that beginning part again. All right. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke Yahweh. And Yahweh saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth, all men and all animals. Now, I can't begin to tell you how deep and serious this is, because this is what provoked the flood. These folks were creating unlike natural beasts that did not come from the laboratory of the Most High. Fast forward to 2022, it's the same thing right under our noses. And these heathens are working with the fallen angel. It's probably more likely working with the chief fallen angel, Shemshazai, the fallen of the Watchers, same one who's been working with these government agencies and reverse technology, the UFO, with this whole UFO exposure. This is not coming from the Most High, y'all. This is going to be the greatest deception that the world has ever seen. And these fallen angels are working with our enemies. Serious. So they were doing the same thing back then, before the flood, that provoked the Most High. And they're doing the same thing. So this is why it's so important to know what the natural is and the unnatural. And this is why we have to be careful what we put in our bodies, because we putting all this unnatural stuff in our bodies. Guess what? It's going to cause dis-ease. What is disease? It's just like it sounds, dis-ease. Because what did not come out of the laboratory of the Most High should not be entering our bodies. That's plain and simple. I mean, that's biology 101. Now, the sun is going to expose the truth. Now, isn't that something, Israel, how the Most High, his natural creation, he is going to use his natural creation to expose wickedness. Let me repeat that again, because I don't think y'all heard me correctly. The Most High is going to use his very own nature, his own creation, to expose our enemies. And not only to expose them, but to rid of them. See, this is why it's not going to be a race war. See, y'all can stop worrying about, oh man, these people are buying up guns and, they want to kill us and all this kind of stuff. Because, we know we hate it amongst all the nations. But fret not, Israel. You don't have to worry about a race war. Because the Most High is getting ready to destroy these people with his own creation. And we're seeing that with our very own eyes, especially with the sun being the biggest portion of that. Now, these heathens are not going to want to tell you the truth about skin cancer. They're not going to want to tell you the truth about dermatitis. They're not going to want to tell you the truth that these people are dying by the thousands, tens of thousands. Their numbers are going down. It just seems like we don't see it because, we're few in number amongst these people. But I'm telling you, over the years, things are going to speed up. The sun is going to get much and much more hotter. The UV rays are going to become more and more intense. Now you see why they've been spending trillions of dollars to try to block out the sun. Bill Gates talking about working with some other scientists and all these other high-tech whiz kids, as they call them, trying to find ways to try to block out the sun. They're not going to be able to do it because the Most High has his 7 angels all ready for war. So they can't even leave the dome, y'all. What makes you think that they're going to be able to block the sun? They can't even leave the atmosphere. But yet they're trying to block the sun. Oh, yeah, right. Good luck with that. All right, let's take it a step further. So let's look at this little diagram that's here before you. This is a UV index. Now you can buy you a UV index reader off of Amazon for like a couple of bucks. I have one. It's like a little orange little gadget, and it has like a little plastic dome in the middle where you hold it in the sun and it'll read the UV rays and all that stuff too. So, but anyway, when you look at this chart here, you have 1 through 10. Now this is only on their scale, but it goes much higher than that. Like the little gadget that I have, that thing will read up to like 14 UV rays, and that's really high because I sit out in the sun a lot. I've sit out in the sun for hours at a time. We drink plenty of water, of course, but I sit out in the sun for hours at a time. So anything that's over a 3 is going to give other races skin cancer or photodermatitis. This is why these people are going to be exposed. And as you go further up, you'll see how, like for example, I'll start with between 6 and 7. And you're going to have a burn time of 30 minutes. Now, recess when I was growing up was around that time, was about 30 minutes. And that's why these white kids will come back the next day with blisters on their necks and shoulders and arms and all that stuff. And it was crazy. This was years ago. So just imagine now that the UV rays are much stronger and the sun is much powerful than it was 30 years ago. This thing is, this is no joke. And then when you get up into 8, 9, and 10, you're talking about a very high UV burn time, anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes. That is insane, y'all. And I've never, ever worn sunscreen. Never, ever worn sunscreen. I've never gotten sunburn or any kind of skin rashes or anything like that. We are the people of the Most High. So we are the natural creation of the Most High. And this is why the sun is going to expose these people for who they truly are. And this is why, this is why I love the Most High so much, because we don't have to do anything. All we got to do is just sit back and watch the power of the Almighty. And this is crazy because the Almighty, he's not even flicking his fingers. He's just allowing his nature, his creation, little by little to destroy these people. Just imagine when he turns up the heat. Imagine when he ramps up the amp. I'm telling you, these people are going to be dropping like flies. When I say like flies, they're going to be dropping. And it's going to be so bad that you're going to know it, because people around you, you're going to see people just dropping dead constantly. But we ain't seen no feats like that yet. We ain't seen no grandeur like that on a mass scale. Not yet. Not yet. But all these things that are happening, it's just preparing for that time. Everything is being conditioned. And I'm telling you, the Most High is the ultimate puppet master who's pulling all the strings. So when we talk about the sun is getting hot and hotter, every year we're going to see an increase. What was it, China or was it China or Japan? I'm not too sure which one it was. I didn't really view the article that much, but I know that they had something like a 70-day drought or something, and they had them jokers up in caves and stuff trying to keep cool. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain things that are taking place around across these nations, and you don't see it in the news much. You're not really seeing much attention on these things. And go look up. There are so many underground military bases, and there's all kinds of underground places that we don't even know about that's been kept in secret. And so they're getting ready for something. Something big is getting ready to happen. Something so big where these people are going to have to go underground. Now that ought to tell you something. If they have all these underground bases and these underground, whatever they want to call them, cities, whatever, over 113 of them, or over 150 of them across the earth, what is that telling us? That's telling us that these people, these non-melanated people, know that what the dealio is. All right, and the sun is getting ready to reveal the truth. And this is the beautiful thing about the truth. We don't have to sit here and prove anything. The Most High's creation is going to prove it all itself without our help. All we got to do is we just got to sit back and do our part, and stay out of the Most High's way. Let him do his mighty, powerful work. You don't want to get in the way of the Most High, especially when he gets down. Now, these non-melanated people may look like us in stature. They may look like us in some features, but they're nothing close to being us. Not even close. And it's amazing how in the genetic world that you can mutate something to almost look like the natural. But the one thing that the fallen angels working with these heathens could not duplicate or recreate is melanin. Only the Most High can produce melanin in our people. That is the one thing that scientists cannot reproduce. If you don't believe me, do some research on that. Why do you think so many of our people come up missing? Because melanin is the one thing they cannot reproduce. They cannot copy it. They cannot duplicate it. They cannot even create a hybrid to match it. I mean, that's amazing. And that's how powerful our Creator is, because he made sure that he set in our genes a code that could not be touched. Now, let me show you how powerful the Most High is and how he is working on our behalf with the 7 angels that he has put in charge over his people. All right, let's go to the book of Enoch, because I'm going to show you how the Most High is getting ready to get down, or how he is getting down, because he has 7 angels watching our backs. Now, let's start with verse 1. It says, "And these are the names of the holy angels who watch." All right, verse 2, Uriel, one of the holy angels who is over the world and over Sheol. Because them boys, they took over Sheol when Hamashiach rose up from the dead and everything, and raised all them boys out from the grave. And you have Raphael, one of the holy angels who is over the Ruach of men. So yeah, so when we talk about the spirit and guiding our minds and what have you, every thought that comes out of our head is recorded. You have Reuel, friend of Elohim, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries. Remember when it talks about when it talks about in the scriptures who can loose the belts of Orion and who can bind the Pleiades. So there's this thing is so ancient, and like the way that the Most High has everything set up. I mean, it's amazing. And then of course y'all know Michael, one of the holy angels, set over the pleasant and upon the goodliest men and over the nation. Because remember, it was the same angel who put Daniel and them boys above above his other peers. And you have Sarakel, which means vine of Elohim. So one of the holy angels who is over the Ruach, who sins in the mind. So when Scripture talks about how you hate your brother in your heart, you've already committed murder because you hate your brother in your heart. When our people hate each other, you see our brothers shooting one another down in the streets. That's not good, and this is what the enemy wants us to do. You have Gabriel, one of the holy angels who is over the Garden of Eden and the dragon and the cherubim. And then you have the seventh angel, you have Remiel, which means Elohim is elevated, one of the holy angels who rejoice to Elohim over the resurrection. Now, these powerful seven angels are the same angels that it talks about in Revelation chapter, in the book of Revelation, where it talks about the seven seals, the seven trumpets, and the seven last plagues. When I say the Most High has an organization of angels that's ready to destroy at his very command, woe unto this earth, because you better watch out, because it's going to come like a whirlwind. And this is why Israel is worth keeping the commandments with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Because you don't want to be caught up with your heathens. You don't want to be caught up with your enemies, doing their biddings and being caught up in what they do. That's the most dangerous thing for our people. By beholding, we become changed. And this is why something is going to have to happen. I mean, literally, something is going to have to happen in order to break our bonds from the heathens. Because there's no way that we can continue on this crazy earth and with these heathens living among us. There's no way our people are going to just be drowned out by the wickedness and the foolishness and the folly and the coonery. And that's why it's going to take individuals. It's going to take some true men to really stand up and set the standard and to speak against this wickedness. And when we begin to do that, and at the same time, while the Most High is purging his house, he's also purging our enemies. And we're going to see this more and more and more. Why do you think that when you look at these people, you can see a sense of fear in their eyes? There's a sense of insecurity, because deep down inside, anything that's not natural will know it. And these people know that they are not a natural created being. They are not a natural organism. They didn't come out of the laboratory of the Most High. And this is why you're seeing extreme diseases that's coming upon these people. And the sun is slowly, but more quickly killing them off. This is why I said that you don't have to worry about a race war, because there's not going to be no need for one. Just give it time. Give the process some time. I know a lot of you all are sick and tired of being sick and tired, but you're going to have to allow the Most High process to work, because look, his time frame is not nothing like ours. You know, what is 50 years? What is 100 years to the Most High? That's like a snap of the finger. I mean, that's just a vape. It's nothing. So you got to get out that mindset of always looking for something, looking for this, looking for that. What you got to do is you got to get out there and do that work. You got to start preparing the next generation. You're going to have to start talking to these young ladies. You're going to have to start talking to these young brothers, because somebody's going to have to tell them. But in the meantime, you know, we got to continue to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. So with that being said, by the Most High's will, hope to see you soon. And I say shalom and stay strong.
I gotta thank YAHUAH for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of Mashiach. Whoa, yeah. I gotta thank YAHUAH for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Yo, hey, whoa. I'm here to encourage you, brothers and sisters, trying to paint to you a better picture. Everything I say, I back it up with the scriptures to get you out the matrix. It's been over 400 years of life. You gotta open up your eyes, 'cause there's so many reasons we in captivity. You gotta flee from the heathens. There is hope in our future, even though they trying to do us in. But we live to fight another day. Vengeance is Yah. We'll be praying for YAHUAH's day. I gotta thank YAHUAH for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Whoa. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah, and the faith of Mashiach. Whoa, 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 yeah, yeah. I gotta thank YAHUAH for being the chosen seed of Israel. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yah and the faith of the Mashiach. Whoa, hey, hey, whoa, whoa. Do da da da. Do be da da. Do be do da da. Do da da. Be da da da. Do be do do.